The Unused Subs are back with the final show of 2025 at Tyler Street Sport, Auckland FC's official home from first sip to final cheers. For a year in review and predictions for the year ahead, it's Jacob Spoonley, Paul Ifill, and myself, Goran Paladin. Well, how was your Christmas, boys? All good?
Way too much food, Ify. Way
too much food. I've been in the gym every day in a futile attempt to shed some pounds, but then I get home and the food's still there and I eat it again and eat all the chocolates and then go back to the gym the next day. So I hate this time of year. Christmas is brilliant. The period between Christmas and New Year, I don't know what to do. It's horrible. I don't know what day it is.
But that's the best bit, mate. That's how unbelievable is that? You wake up, you're like, I don't know what's going on, and you're like, oh, there's football tonight as well.
Get me to the new year. I don't like this.
Oh, there's football tonight, unless, of course, it's Saturday, the 27th of December, when you've been waiting
off
for the 1v2 battle. Yeah, this could be the rant of 2025. Waiting for a 1v2 battle between Auckland FC and Sydney FC, and in the days leading up, Jacob, you find out that Leichhardt Oval's surface is not safe enough to play on. There's sand, there's mud, the reseeding of November 22 hasn't taken, and we lose, until it's rescheduled, we lose the 1v2 battle that will decide whether Auckland FC go 5 points clear of second or Sydney FC overtake Auckland FC before the new year. We don't get that match at all. I was fuming, mate, and it's just absolute ultimate peak A-League.
Put it in context as well. This is not like, we're not talking about Newcastle or Adelaide where there's maybe one or two grounds in the city. This is Sydney. This is where
there are so many venues.
NRL, AFL. They've
Yeah.
got cricket grounds. They've got football-specific grounds. But there's one ground in particular where you're like, why aren't you guys going there?
Just go to Combank Stadium.
Enemy territory.
I know, yeah, it's enemy territory. I know that the Wanderers play there. But come on, it's still part of Sydney. And in terms of a broadcast, we've all been involved in broadcasts with Sky Sport before. They go there regularly, whether it's Channel 10, Paramount Plus, whoever the host broadcaster is in Australia. They go there regularly. They know how easy it is to set up their cameras and put on a match day experience. Just get there. Just get there and put the game on. I don't know if you're as pissed off as I am, but I just thought it's an opportunity absolutely blown for the A-League.
Yeah, I looked at the fixtures and that was the one that stood out to me. I was thinking that's going to be a cracker, like a couple of days after Christmas. Like I said, that period in between, I don't like it. But you chuck a couple of football games in there, and you know you haven't got to get up for work and blah blah blah, and then to have that one taken away, of all the ones taken away, there was a few others that could have been taken away. But I call it the silly season. Everybody calls it the silly season. You look at the results over that period. The games have been unbelievable, and we can't see potentially the best one. Shambles, if you ask me.
Well, the games have been unbelievable, to Ify's point. MacArthur beat
5-4.
Newcastle 5-4. 4-4 going
9
past
goal
the 90
thriller.
minutes. Unreal. And then we had Adelaide beat Western Sydney 3-2. So we've got good quality games. This will be the top of the table clash. The tapestry of this one is unbelievable as well. So Ufi up against Steve.
Yeah.
Auckland up against Sydney.
Yep.
You've got people coming up against their former employers as well on both sides. It is a game that you really, really wanted to see. And to your point, it was going to set the tone, I think, for what is a really important part of the season heading into January. Frustrating is how I kind of feel. Frustrated, rather.
Now, we will probably never know how hard the A-League paymasters tried to find another venue. But on face value, it looks like they didn't try hard enough. And the number of Port supporters that would have had tickets booked, accommodation booked, and then that's all just gone to waste. Like it really irks me on a number of different levels.
The cost for Auckland as well. They travel early. They put down deposits to pay for hotels. Yeah, just feel like, to your point, and this is a really good one before, is that this fixture has now been relegated.
It'll be a midweek game
Wednesday night,
hidden somewhere, and that is the great shame of all this.
It makes the league look a bit shambolic at times, and we love our league, but when we take the piss. But you know, if you're looking from the outside in, I've got a lot of friends over in England who are watching. They're going, "Oh my, what's going on? You can't find a football pitch. You can't find a football pitch to play a game on. Like what's going on? It's ridiculous. Look, this is the top league in Australia. There's no way this should be happening. I'd understand it if we're talking about a regional league, and you know, it shouldn't happen in the top league. We've got to be better than that.
Okay, let's draw a line in the sand. We move
Moving
on from it. I think rant over. Can we all agree on that? Rant over. A-League's dropped the ball. We wanted the fixture. We didn't get it. We have to wait until a Wednesday night somewhere in June. Well, yeah,
June.
maybe June. Yeah, after the competition's done. Yeah, we'll play it after this. After Auckland FC have won the toilet seat. The reason we're here today, it's an opportunity for us to make some predictions for 2026, what we think might happen in the new year ahead, but also review and look back fondly to some of the moments in 2025. And there were lots of wonderful football memories created for New Zealand football fans and football players alike, Jacob. Most notably, two for me stand out. Obviously, qualification for the World Cup for our All Whites, and also the way the Auckland FC team hit the ground running to secure the Premier's plate.
I wouldn't know what the All Whites celebrations looked like because I didn't see them. I had to come back and set up the post-match function, Ify, so that was good. But the sense of relief in the stadium once Boxall got that ball in, and I mean,
unlikely goal scorer as well, eh?
Like, there's a personal element here because I've played with Boxall for so long. He's one of my best mates in football. But there's also that factor that he's the nicest guy in football. He's so low-key. He's very humble. Wears the armband for Minnesota. Could you pick a better person? And this is a high bar because the squad is full of great characters. But could you pick a better person to add his name to the likes of Rufus, Sumner, Fallon to get the All Whites to the World Cup?
No, you just couldn't. You just couldn't. And as I say, it was such an unlikely goal scorer. You're waiting for something to happen. You're thinking it's got to be Chris Wood. He goes off injured. Who's the guy to rise above them all? Michael Boxall? Unreal. And you can say what you want about the quality of the opposition. The way that the World Cup qualification is set up these days, it's not like it was in the past. It's not a Bahrain, it's not a Mexico, it's not a Costa Rica, but there was still the level of excitement when they finally got the win at the end of 90 minutes, Paul Ifill.
Yeah, look, it was one of them games. The longer it went on, I was thinking, bloody hell, we're going to be in trouble there. Are we going to score in a minute? And like you said, there's a few people on that list you'd be saying, right, they're going to get us back in this or get us to the World Cup. Boxall was right at the bottom of that list. But yeah, and you could
He's
almost
at the bottom.
He's right at the bottom. But you could almost see the surprise in his face. You know, when he's wheeling away, you're like, oh my God, maybe I've cracked it. Maybe I've done it for my country. And you know, he is a great guy and a patriotic guy. So it wouldn't have been lost on him that moment for sure.
You saw the joy in his face. Yes, it was just a goal against New Caledonia, if you want to break it down to the pure mechanics. But the goal meant so much, and he was able to do it in his hometown. That's something that he hasn't been able to do for the majority of his career. It hasn't been a professional team in his hometown up until the last 2 years. So for him to be given that opportunity, and I don't think he truly appreciates it at the moment because he's still focusing on the World Cup. He's doing all the preparation for the tournament and the upcoming MLS season. I think in 2 or 3 years' time, he gets to look back and just see his name there on the score sheet to get the All Whites to the World Cup. And that, for me, is cool.
And what really speaks to his quality as a human being, the very next morning, he turns up here at Tyler Street Sport for the Unused Subs to talk about that goal, that qualification, and what it meant. We had like a cavalcade of stars booked. But obviously, Chris Wood injures himself and has to go for a scan. And then I think Tommy Smith pulled out as well. We were going to have
I think Tommy was injured as well,
Tommy
wasn't he? Yeah.
and Boxall. And even though the other two guys pulled out, Boxall still came down and had a chat with us. So that speaks volumes to the quality of person he is, man.
Yeah, like I said, top man. He was a great teammate at Wellington. Probably didn't get enough opportunities there. So for him to be able to go off and do what he's done and still be the captain of an outfit like Minnesota at 37 and being on the verge of going to another World Cup, it just shows how well liked he is, well respected, and the shape he keeps himself in as well. Because difficult when you get older to keep yourself in good nick, and he certainly has done that.
Yeah, we're all battling. We're all
for a reference point.
That. Yeah.
I'm the same age as Boxall. He's a little bit younger than me, but let's put me up next to him, mate. That's
take off the jacket, mate. Let's have a look at that middle-age spread right now.
The body fat percentages are going to be quite something.
This is the worst possible time as well to take the kid off, given that we've just feasted for Christmas and the days after.
Those chocolates that Ify was talking about. And then there's a part two to this, Ify, which I hope we're going to do in the second bit, which is just have a look at how the All White squad's tracking and where, to your point, they possibly could be heading into the World Cup. But also the competition for places is something to be, kind of in awe of at the moment.
Let's talk about that in our prediction segment a little
Exactly.
bit later on. But I mentioned it earlier, one of the other big moments of 2025 was the emergence of Auckland FC as not only a team, but a huge threat in the A-League competition. They win the Premier's Plate in their first time of asking. And, I mean, that was incredible in itself. But then the way that they fell out of contention for the toilet seat and the two-leg playoff against Melbourne Victory, and what might have been if Neidar Moreno scores that double poster in the first leg, like that was theatre as well, wasn't it, Ify?
Yeah, there's so much to like about Auckland FC. We could probably do a whole flipping show on them and as a club. But, I've spoken about them a few times, and I think they were really smart. Bill Foley came out straight away and said, "Look, we're in it to win it." And I remember thinking, "Geez, this guy's a bit, he's a bit crazy. I don't think he realises how difficult that's going to be." And then you dig into his background a little bit, and you go, "Oh, actually, maybe he knows a little bit more than I'm giving him credit for." Then he goes and gets Steve Corica, somebody who's won the A-League, as a player and as a coach, and then he goes and gets Danny Hay, Jonathan Gould, and you look at the staff and go, bloody hell, like they've started well. Then they start recruiting, and you're like, they've put together a squad here. So you're thinking they're definitely going to be competitive, but then to go beyond that, and I've been, you guys have been in there, but the culture around the place, it just stinks of winning. And people that love to win. So it's no surprise they got super close to winning that first one up, to win the Premier's Plate. Magnificent. But I think it set it up. I remember saying this to Terry McFlynn. I said, you don't want to win the whole lot first year. You'd love to win it, but you need something for them to aim for. So you've gone as close as you can go, and then next year you can go beyond that, and then you'll be trucking.
Still hurts a little bit, the decision. I like, taking away the bias, I think the second game was fantastic. I've seen that shot now of the ball.
The cross coming in.
The cross coming in. And who is it? Is it Guillermo Mai into Logan Rogerson, I think, is what happened. I've seen it from like 30 different angles now. The crowd-sourced footage is all there. And I'm like, definitely in on some of the shots. And I'm like, that's probably out on some of the others.
Out, yeah.
And then you speak to anyone at Auckland FC, and they get so dirty on it so quickly. And to your point, there's a very fine margin. So they're under pressure here to now exceed what they did last year. But at the same time, they do have this carrot in the room that they are looking to get there.
We've got to stop giving oxygen to Michael Vought's call.
It's great. And I just remember, like, that night being involved in it, obviously doing commentary, but then being in the city, been involved in the build-up, listening to Piney's monologue beforehand, which is still awesome. Still go back and watch that every so often. And then we didn't get the payoff. And I think that's what it was. There's all this emotion around it, and there was never that lighting of the fuse. And I think that's the thing that sticks with me.
You've got to give credit to Victory. There's a little change of tactics. They knew what they needed to do on the day. And for me, as the game went on, I'm still thinking, no, they're going to find a way. They'll get back in this. The home record was so strong.
Yeah.
They just
score late as well.
Batter the door down and find a way in, and Victory just found a way to make it work. And you just have to give them credit for that. And I think they were worthy winners on the day. But I think any other home game that season, Auckland FC found a way to get it done.
One of the things that we were really looking forward to in their first season was going to be this rivalry with the Wellington Phoenix. And that third derby game where Auckland FC came out and absolutely plastered the black and yellow, 6-1. It was just a decimation. And you never ever thought that it was going to be that bad. But what eventually happened was the New Zealand neighbour handed the Phoenix their worst ever defeat in A-League history. And so when you're thinking about a great Kiwi rivalry, that's probably not the ideal result, is it, Ify?
Just to note, it wasn't the worst ever. It was the second worst. I played in the worst ever.
Well, in terms of goals scored, it's probably not the worst. But I'm talking more about like who
the emotional effect.
Yeah, and who the opposition is. Like, it's your New Zealand buddy, and they've just schooled you.
No, look, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying I played in the 7-1 loss, and that was horrific.
Who was that
no
to,
matter
mate?
Who gave it to, yeah. Oh, that's the one I got brought on after at 6-0, and Ricky told me to get us back in the game.
Sorry, really quickly. Who was it against? And tell us what the instructions were when you were going on at 6-0.
No. I'm only joking. I think I got subbed on at 6-0 or 6-1. We got beat 7-1. At Sydney Football Stadium, I think at Del Piero I got 4 at about 39 years old, and Ricky put me on about 15 minutes to go and try and get us something. I think with his words.
Anyway, back to the derby result.
Anyway, yeah. Back to the business at hand. Look, yes, I see where you're going, G. It was shocking. I thought the other games have been closer than that. I thought it's time that the Phoenix sort of give them a little nudge and get even closer. And Auckland were sensational on the day, and even fast forward to the next one, it doesn't look like the gap's going to get any closer at the moment. I think they're running away with it, and for the Phoenix, they must be looking and going, blimey, we've had a 15-year head start on these guys, and they ran into the league and ran over everybody, including them. So it's time to regroup and reset and go into the new year and try and find a way to bridge the gap, really.
I do think that this is what a rivalry is built on, though. Like a proper derby, Ifill, is built on not only winning, but hurting the other side. And I mean, it's my personal experience was back actually playing against Danny Hay, Waitakere against Auckland. Like, you wanted to go out, and there was an element of needing to hurt the opposition. And there's a lot of hurt now on the Wellington side, and at some point, that is going to turn into fuel. It's going to be like, fossilization. It's going to mature, and then there's going to turn into fuel. There are some characters in that dressing room that I know are harbouring this. They want the full complement to have a go at Auckland. And to be fair, they've thrown a few swings in the last derbies. But, yeah, there's now, and it's important, it happened very early. There's history in this fixture. It's not like it's been 2-1 and it's been nice and it's been amicable. There is proper feeling in this fixture, and the next time that we get to see these two sides go at it is going to be the 21st of February. Why it's not the 6th of February is
it should be
absolutely
Waitangi Day.
Beyond me. Yeah, but there we go.
This is something that we need to work on for the following season. Make sure that it's an annual fixture on Waitangi Day. You say that the Wellington Phoenix have been hurt. I dare suggest they've been maimed over the course of the 5 derbies to date. Especially not just the 6-1 fixture of last season, but the way that they couldn't break down a 9-man defence of Auckland FC at Sky Stadium. That will also provide a fair amount of hurt. So, Phoenix with work to do. Away from the A-League, though, New Zealand is doing great things on the world stage. And one of the things that I really enjoy in the off-season is figuring out where our players are going to land. Someone like Libby Kakache, who's Empoli were relegated, where does he wind up? And he turns up at Ryan Reynolds' Wrexham, for goodness sake. Yeah. Tyler Bindon as well. Is he going to get his Premier League bow? No, he goes to Sheffield United. And his initial run, Ifill, wasn't great with Sheffield, but he's come back in leaps and bounds, hasn't he? Player of the match, I think a week ago, scoring a goal. So he's finally finding his feet in the championship.
I think it's the right level for Tyler Bindon in particular. It's a great club. He went there at a terrible time. They were absolutely in the doldrums. Obviously, they got rid of Wilder. The new guy had come in. It was a shambles from start to finish. Then they go back to Wilder again for about the 18th time. He comes in and again does what he does, and he galvanises the squad, and he gets rid of a few bad apples and sorts out who he needs, and they've risen up the table, and Bindon's been playing, and he's been playing well. I think he was unfortunate. I think he got an own goal this weekend, and they did get beat, but it's the first time they've lost a game for a while. So I do expect them to, I don't think they'll quite make a run for the playoffs, but they'll certainly finish mid-table, and I think it'll do his career the world of good to play at a club of that stature in that league.
He's now on the kind of like the forge of the championship, which is probably one of the most difficult leagues in the world, Ifill. Not in terms of being peak like the Premier League, but it just seems so competitive, and the grind of the league is so intense that if you can come through that conversation around the being relegated in the championship and you get into mid-table, that is something that arguably goes into his CV to demonstrate that he can handle the ferocity of English football.
Oh, I think it'll do. Like I said, I think it'll do in the world of good. He's a young lad. He's trying to learn his trade, and to go into a relegation battle, nightmare scenario. But will do you the world of good if you get out of it. And like I said, it's 46 games. You add in the cup games. You're talking 50 games a season. It is relentless, and he'll come out of that with renewed resilience, in my opinion. And I think he's a player that's good enough to be playing Premier League football. I just don't think he's quite ready yet. So I think a season or two in the Championship will do him the world of good, and off he goes.
And then also watching the progress of Finn Surman, who's someone who you played against and watched very closely in the national leagues here in New Zealand, to see his growth and development in the MLS with Portland has been absolutely magic, Ifill.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I really like Finn Surman, and I love what he's done. But when I first played against him and saw him, I didn't think he was good enough for the National League. I really didn't. So shows what I know.
And that was only how long ago, mate?
Oh, this is going back a good few years, because I was still playing. But I remember, he was a young kid, and there was a lot of talk about him, and I just didn't see it. I thought he's okay, but I didn't even think he'd play A-League. And obviously he came in and that first season he did well. Then he was kind of sort of pushed aside a little bit in his second season. Then he came back for the third season. And again, I think in a funny kind of way, that's exactly what he needed in that second season. It was all smooth sailing until then. And then all of a sudden it was like, actually, you're going to have to fight for your spot here. And I think it did him good. And I think he came back in that third season. He was excellent. And you could see he was getting better than the level. He gets his move, and by all accounts, we only see bits and pieces, but he's absolutely flying. And I think the level there suits him, and I see him going on. And to think now, probably he's our number one centre back going into a World Cup. It's arguable because obviously you've still got Boxall, but Boxall's on the other end, where the Sermon's on his way up, and then you've got Bindon there as well. Like the depth there now. Is pretty cool to see.
Finn is somebody that I think, to Ify's point, is just taking his little knockbacks, learn from them, taking a step forward. So it's almost like one step back, 2 steps forward. And he's done that consistently, which is great because he's still very young. But just listening to how Phil Neville talks about him, the fact that he's been given the armband in his first season at Portland, he's played all the important fixtures. He's playing alongside very established senior centre-backs. And then you have a chat to him, and he is the most level-headed dude. But the conversation around the World Cup spots is a really interesting one.
Let's talk about it then. Let's get into prediction territory. The new year is upon us. 2026 means that the All Whites go to Canada, Mexico, and the USA. You're putting yourself in the shop window. This is one of the great opportunities to show your wares to scouts the globe over and get that Premier League move, a la Winston Reid. If you had to stake your reputation on it, who's the All White that gets the big time move after the 2026 World Cup?
My brain always goes back to the story that I heard about Mark Hughes when he was looking at Ryan Nelson. So it's the Confederations Cup, the All Whites are playing France, and Mark Hughes is looking for somebody that can not nullify, but at least keep him a little bit quiet, Thierry Henry. And he watches Nelly just dementedly chase Henry around the field, match him up in a one-on-one battle. The All Whites lose 5-0, 5-1 in the game. So it's not like we do amazingly well as a team, but there's something in there for Mark Hughes. And if I look at who we're playing, you've got the likes of Doku, who's playing for Belgium, Mo Salah, who's playing for Egypt, a known quality. And I'm immediately thinking about our fullbacks and our centre-backs and the opportunity that they're going to have up against players of this sort of quality.
You haven't really given us a name, though. I've asked for a name, and Ify's nodding. I asked for a name. I expect a name, Jacob.
We'll get one by the new year.
Well, Mo Salah up against Libby Kakache. I think that's a fascinating battle. And then if it's not Libby, who touch wood for everyone in the squad, everyone hopefully will be fit at that point, then maybe it's a Francis de Vries. Equally, Finn Surman, Tyler Bindon. What can they do? Can Finn put a case together for a move to a bigger league? Can Tyler demonstrate that he's of enough quality going into that Nottingham Forest team at the end of the season? These are all discussions that I think are absolutely fascinating. Equally, I'm really interested to see how Bays, and this is not answering the point, but I think it's going to be part of the discussion, how Bays sets up the midfield. We haven't had a fully fit Joe Bell, Marko Stamenic, and Ryan Thomas yet. They've been played concurrently. They've been played one fixture each. So how do they fit in together? The likes of Sarpreet Singh, Matt Garbett, Elijah Just, Ben Old. There's only a certain amount of roles that they can fit themselves into as well. So I'm trying to figure out who, as much as anyone, gets picked in order to demonstrate their case.
All right, have you woken up, mate?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
That was like a piney monologue.
It was a ramble.
just nowhere near as professional, eh?
I was gonna go there, but I thought you might.
So who are our names, Ify? Who's going to get the big time move?
I'm going to, and I'm stealing one of Spoon's, but Spoon's went on forever, and I put a load of names in. So Finn Sermon for me, for sure. I think the season he's had, and Spoon's is right. He's that guy that gets to the level, finds his feet, and then goes, actually, I'm better than this. And he just keeps doing that. And I think that is an amazing skill to have. And I see him doing that all the way to the Premier League, which is class. So I think he is able to nullify somebody, a big name in the World Cup. And then I think he's going to pop up with a goal. I think he's going to pop up and do a Winston Reid. I think he's going to score a big goal when you don't expect it. He's going to corner, bully a few, bang, and then you 1-0, name everywhere. You've already got his coach, who's a big name in Phil Neville, singing his praises. If you've got that, the whole package could work for him, is what I'm saying. So good luck to Finn. I hope that works for him. The other one, I don't even know if he starts, but I think he's a guy that makes an impact in every single game, whether it's with the All Whites or whether it's with his club side, and that's Matt Garbutt. I just think he always finds a way, and his work ethic is class. He's got a lot to like. I don't even know if he knows what his best position is, but he can just jump in kind of anywhere and he'll make something happen. So I think he could be the guy, whether he's starting in the midfield because somebody's injured, or he's somebody who can come off the bench for 20 minutes and just cause problems. So I think he's the one that's a maybe, and he's at a club. He's at Peterborough at the moment. That's a club that again has got that sort of model where they get players in on the cheap, they give them a year, and then they get them out of there. So he could be somebody who could jump straight up to the top of the Championship or even the Premier League, depending on what happens at the World Cup. We
need to figure out what Matt Garbutt is, though, don't we? Because we are so stacked in that front end. I'm thinking Elijah Just, Ben Old, Sarpreet Singh, Ryan Thomas. You put Logan Rogerson in the mix. Jesse Randall, he's got to be a smoky for a World Cup appearance as well.
Yep.
And so where does Matt Garbutt pop up when he's, and the old phrase, a jack of all trades, master of none. If he locks in a position, then I wholeheartedly agree with you, Ify. I think he is one of those guys to watch out for.
I think it'll go the other way for Garbs, and the reason I say that is because I don't think he needs a position for this World Cup. Maybe after the World Cup, yes, when he goes to his next club. But I think because he's so versatile, I think Bays can go, I can chuck him on the right, I can chuck him on the left, chuck in at attacking midfield, I can chuck him up top. And I think with the uncertainty around Chris Wood and his body, we know that Garbs can put the ball in the net if he gets opportunities. So I just think he'll get a few minutes off the bench, whereas some of the other ones we just spoke about, as good as they are, might not get those opportunities because they only play in one position.
Oh gosh, what are our predictions around Chris Wood, captain of the All Whites as well? We just saw that he's undergone surgery on his knee. Still a little bit of mystery and intrigue as to what the injury entails. But it's not a great sign. Yes, it's good that he's getting cleaned up and sorted out for the year ahead, but not a great sign when you see the leader, the talisman of this All White side, on a hospital bed with his leg in the air as a spoon.
And a great moustache, I've got to say, for Christmas Day. That was surprising. Woodsy is an important player in this team, obviously. There's two senior statesmen. There's Michael Boxall and Chris Wood. That's not even speaking about his quality, his ability to score goals, his Premier League tenure. And I think it's important for the group that he is there and he's fit. And what it looks like to me is that there's been an attempt to kind of address the knee and to get it sorted out and to rehab it. That's been unsuccessful, and he's had to go and have surgery, which is really disappointing for Woodsy. So not only want him to be fit for the World Cup, Ify, but it's important for him to get back to football and to be playing leading into the tournament itself.
Yeah, massive. We talk about big players, and I think if you look at all the so-called smaller nations, they've got that one guy that you're going to rely on, and Chris Wood is our guy. And if he's not fit, we're miles off. The number of goals he scores, the attention that he gets to bring others into play. That's all gone, and there's nobody. We've got nobody who can step up and be that guy. Unfortunately, I don't think there's nobody ready, nobody good enough. So, and that's I'm not even talking about what he brings off the pitch. That's just on the pitch. So, I think he's in good hands. He doesn't seem too fussed. I think he feels like he's going to make the World Cup. So, the fact that he's at a Premier League football club, he's going to get the best care. He'll get a great rehab program, and they know what's at stake as well. You know, they'll want him back for their running at Forest. So it works hand in hand, I think, with what's going on. And he's got a good gaffer there that knows him well as well and want him back playing. So I think the timing is good in terms of that. I think we'll see him play some Premier League football and be ready to go for the World Cup.
Touch wood, that is the case. We see him back playing in the Premier League for Nottingham Forest, and he hits the ground running at the World Cup. But if the worst case scenario were to occur and he doesn't get himself right for the World Cup, what does a front line for the All Whites look like? And don't make that face, mate. Don't you dare make that face. Because when you take him out, obviously you lose a lot of quality, a lot of experience, but you also lose a lot of height, and a different style of play is needed if you put a Costa Barbarouses in the front line. He's damn near a foot shorter than Chris Wood, and we know the aerial threat that Wood possesses. So who takes his spot, and what does that All Whites front line look like, Ify?
It's a massive challenge for Bays because you have to change what you do in possession of the ball. And Woods is so good out of possession, you know, coming back and dealing with crosses late in the game, you know, in the box for corners, he'd be going back for long throws. There's so much that he brings on both ends, and it's just gone in an instant. So I think it would be Costa maybe Ben Wayne. Does Garbett make find a way? But it just looks completely different, and the ball needs to be played. Yeah, even more on the deck. You can't go straight into Woods' chest. You can't go up and look for flick on. So I think it's on Bays to go, right, okay, this isn't going to happen. What does it need to look like moving forward, and use those friendlies before the World Cup to look at a new system?
Costa's movement is phenomenal. And yes, Ify's absolutely right that physical foundation isn't there. But I've been really, I'll be honest, surprised at how Costa's been able to hold up the ball and bring others into play in the games when Woodsy hasn't played. And then the other thing that I liked, which Wayno gave when he played in New York, I think it was, is the work rate. So he's realising he's not Woodsy. He's not going to get into those one-on-one tussles. What he's going to do, though, because he's not a small lad, is he's going to get around the field and bring that engine to bear. The issue that, and I agree with this, is that neither of them are playing Premier League football. So the lack of quality, that cutting edge, that might not necessarily be there. But I think our mindset is being demonstrated here as well, Ify. The drop-off isn't as great as when we last went to the World Cup. We're not talking about going from a Premier League player down to a player that's playing in the National League in New Zealand. These are lads that they are overseas in decent environments. I've got a quiet confidence about it. Yes, we want Woodsy there, but there are people that are going to be able to contribute as well to the squad.
In 2026, do you think we will see one or two new coaches for our A-League outfits here, for Auckland FC and for Wellington Phoenix? And by that I mean the Phoenix haven't been great in terms of results, and so Chiefy's obviously under the pump. Fans know this. But also, the other end of the spectrum is Auckland FC's success, what that might mean for Steve Corica and his next elevation.
It'll be interesting to see what happens at Auckland FC, because I see Bill Foley has got this sort of network of clubs. So do they look at it and go, right, we've got to where we need to get to if we win the toilet seat? Steve is clearly a top operator. Do we move him on within our system, our network? So that's a possibility. Or somebody from the outside comes in and has a go and tries to take him. So look, I think there's an opportunity for Steve to be gone, yes, at the end of the season. Is there a possibility that Chief is gone at the end of the season? Absolutely. I think he's under pressure. You know, I would imagine there's talks at a boardroom level for sure. Can he find a way to turn it around? I think so. If he gets his big players back in, he's had a lot of injuries. So there's mitigating circumstances there for sure. But this next run of 4 games out of 5 away is everything. If he can navigate a way through that, then he deserves to stay. But I think it's going to be a little too much, and I think it could be, at the end of that run, it could be time for new blood. One
of my predictions for 2026, and what I want to see, is and I feel like we haven't seen it. There's been stumbles in the past, but Chiefy, given the full stable of players, for him to implement what he wants to do. And there's obviously been a lot of focus on what he's been doing. He's been quite bullish about his tactics. Paulo Retre, Nikola Miljuznic, Tim Payne, these are all key parts of the way he wants to play and the players that he needs. I want to see those players on the field, and then I want to see the youngsters in and around them. I've quite liked what we've seen from Isaac Hughes as an example over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Lucas Kelly-Heald is another player that has demonstrated a composure and ability to kind of steady the ship alongside Mandrake James. And then the midfield, I think, is important for Chiefy. So having Retre alongside Rufa with Nagasawa in there and Miljuznic, and then bringing on the likes of Luke Brooks-Smith alongside maybe Corbin Piper or Eze. That's what I want to see from the Wellington Phoenix. And I want to see them, to Ify's point, go away and pick up points on the road, come back and make Sky Stadium a fortress. And they've got a runway to do that without thinking about the derby. Now, this is the time for us to see the real Wellington Phoenix and what they can do. I still think they're a top 6 side.
Just lastly, as we round things out for 2025, a final prediction, if you would, Jacob Spoonley. Auckland FC. Last season, they won the Premier's Plate. I personally believe silverware is in their future for this campaign as well. What kind of silverware does Auckland FC walk away with at the end of the current season?
Ivy made a great point before, which is you don't want to win everything in your first season because then it's replication, it's not elevation. Elevation for Auckland this year, and for everyone to get one of those rings that Bill said that they were going to get their hands on, they need to lift the toilet seat.
Yeah.
And that is where I think their attention is squarely focused. They're working towards it incrementally, but at the end of the season, I think they will be the most satisfied if they get their hands on the toilet seat.
I would agree with that. I think they would be the most satisfied, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Oh.
Don't think they're going to get.
Who's going to stand in their way, Ify?
No, but I think the way the league's set up, I just don't think it's set up correctly. I've always said since I hate the fact that you can win the league and not win the league effectively. Ridiculous. So I'm a little bitter because we've just done it in the National League here. We were top of the table and then we lose in the grand final on penalties. So definitely got me at the wrong time. However, I think they'll do it again.
A little bit salty.
I think they'll do it again. I think they'll win the league, the minor premiers, and I think they'll come undone by somebody in the grand final if they get there, which is a shame. But again, it will be a magnificent season again for them if they manage to get that far, and only second season in. So I think still success, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time to build.
We've got big things happening in 2026, no doubt about it. Auckland FC challenging for silverware, the Wellington Phoenix on the up, and of course the All Whites going to a World Cup where Finn Sermon becomes a Premier League player as well. It's going to be awesome, it's going to be great, and it'll be fantastic doing it with you lads and everybody else who joins us on the Unused Subs. Happy New Year, Jacob. Happy New Year, Ify. We'll see you in 2026, eh?
Same, fellas.